What's up, world? Let me tell you about this beard growth oil I got from 12 tribes on Earth. 8 ounces of oily goodness with a nozzle that prevents sprays and spills, and soft ingredients that make it perfect addition to anyone's morning routine. From coconut to castor, all these oils are hand chosen. After using this herbal blend, the biggest thing I noticed is how soft, how strong my hair was, and how good I feel. Pick up your bottle today and make your beard the star of the show.
Shalom, family. Good to see you all. Hope you're doing well. We're going to talk about Master P. He did an interview not long ago, and he made a comment that really exploded on social media. And he was pretty much saying he was really there to promote a product that he's got out. And he really should have stuck with that and not deviated off to something else. And he made the comment that Black people need to stop harping on slavery. And my question is, if we stop talking about slavery, who are we making comfortable? White people, right? Because they don't want to hear it. It is not my responsibility on this planet to make white people comfortable. And they sure as hell don't go out of their way to make me comfortable about any damn thing. So, no, I reject that. And that's what I hear every time people say, "Oh, y'all talk about the past too much. Y'all talk what you're really telling us is we need to go out of our way to make white people comfortable." And no, I reject that 100%. So, the bottom line is he really should have just stuck with the program. And I believe celebrities really are not a good source for anything that you are striving for or fighting for, especially when it comes down to slavery and our overall history in this country. A celebrity is never a good person to go to or a good spokesperson. And some of them are so wealthy, they're really out of touch with the community. And I've seen this on multiple occasions. It's not just politicians, but it's a lot of these people that are stars and athletes and singers. They're really out of touch with the people within their own community. So, yes, he's being dragged online. And I think when he realized he was being dragged, he came back out and was trying to fix it. And it really didn't make anything better. So there's a lot of people putting out videos saying he needs to be canceled. And I think that is what, because he actually came out one for the interview and two additional times after the interview. He came out on video. So you can tell he's really concerned about what was said. Now, this is what makes the situation worse. Oh, Brandon Tatum came out and did a video agreeing with Master P. And let me tell you something. If you want your product to be dead on arrival, let Tatum continue to talk. Brandon Tatum does not have any clout within the community he comes from. And being that so many people dislike him in the community, that will surely kill your product. If he is propping you up, that is not a good thing. You might want to think about coming out and getting rid of him and tell him to stop talking about you because he's not helping. If people see, because I'm going to show you the video he did agreeing with Master P. And no, Tatum is a bad representation for anything because we know he's just a civil rights activist for white people. That's what he really truly is. He's a grifter, and he does exactly what we have seen out of Candace Owens. She don't do it as much anymore because of that very public fight and her getting dismissed by the Daily Wire. She kind of tamped down a lot. But prior to, we remember what kind of person Candace was. And she, every chance she could get, she was dragging the Black community. Every chance she was talking bad. She was misquoting the history, which I believe Candace knew what she was doing and did it on purpose. And Candace always came out on the opposing side of anything we were talking about. Well, that's all Tatum does. That's all he does. He does the same thing. And then when confronted, Candace said, I just want to help the Black community become better. No, bashing somebody on a 24/7 cycle does not improve anything. You ain't going to improve anybody by bashing them around the clock nonstop. Every video you in, you got something bad to say. You are expressing disdain for your own people. That don't help improve a damn living soul. And see, people like Tatum and Candace Owens, that's what they try to hide behind to get away with bashing the community. And they have been doing that for years. And he's nothing but another grifter. And it's not only us that have disdain. You should see the white people that go in his comment section. Yeah, there's some that, because really, his channel is for white people. It really is. It really is not for us anyway. His channel is 100% for white people. And white folks go in his comment section and say all kinds of disparaging things about him. But what he does just what Candace does. He just overlooks any negativity that come from white folks towards him. But if any of us go in his comment section, he got everything to say. If we drag him, he got everything to say. So, no, you definitely don't want that man in your corner. That's only going to make the situation worse. Him agreeing with you. So, y'all, you can't dismiss, and let me say this to anybody that got this point of view like Grandmaster P. If you got this idea that the past sure can't be spoken about, you can't dismiss the past. This is why in the Bible, the Most High even tells you, remember the days of old. You know why? Because your past is always attached to the present. There's no separating the two. The past is always connected to the present. And number two, what they're saying makes no sense because racism is still around, just like it was in the past. And if you've done nothing about racism, which white people have done absolutely nothing in this country about racism, then you can't complain when racism still exists. It is no one else's responsibility to fix racism other than white people. You are the one that brought and introduced that BS to the world. You are the ones that brought that into the land. You are the ones that still perpetuate it even to this day. That being said, you can't demand that the past go away because the past is always connected to the present, whether you like it or not. It is. So, y'all, let's get into this and bear with oh, race Batum Tatum. A lot of people are now calling him Tatum. I see a lot of videos coming out with them calling him Tatum. All right, y'all, let me share my screen so we can get started. All right. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you.
Master P said the same thing that I have been saying for the last 8 years. Master P have received love from the community. And when a brother decide to wake up black people and say, y'all, we doing this wrong. Y'all, we got to stop focusing on race. Y'all, we got to stop focusing on slavery. There's opportunity.
Y'all, you want to know the most insulting thing? Tatum's channel is about race. All of his videos, and I kid you not, go over there and look. Every video this man puts out is attacking the black community. Every single damn video. His whole channel, his whole niche is about race and attacking and dragging and even lying about the black community. But he's saying we should forget about that while he keeps pushing videos out every day about trashing the black community. It's just laughable that he is saying the things that he is saying on this video.
Opportunities to be had, and we missing them as a community because we still worry about stuff that don't make no sense. And Master P is one of the biggest entrepreneurs in American history. That dude is a grinder, hustler. Turn that rap music, flipped it. He make cereal. He doing all kind of stuff. But they don't want to listen to this brother. They call him an Uncle Tom Coon bootlicker. Roll the clip.
Somebody look like us, say, hey, how come we don't own our own tennis shoe? When Nike started out of their garage. Like Phil Knight started out of his garage. And I tell people all the time, look, it's not about a color. Like think about it, even though when I help black owned business, I'm doing that because we at the bottom of the totem pole. But we want to create product for everybody. This product is for everybody, blacks, white, Asian, Latino, but you don't have too many black owned companies. Like show me how many black owned tennis shoe companies out there that's making functional shoes that actually own it. It's not that many, it's a problem.
Yeah.
So when I find a problem, my passion get like, I need to do this. I got to show the world. In the food industry, I realized that we didn't have enough healthy alternative foods for us. So I found a problem. I created Miller Family Food. I said, well, I got to make healthy alternative foods, snacks, everything.
Is that based out of New Orleans?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so I was inspired by going to Tulsa, Oklahoma. And, in the Black Wall Street in 1920, what happened to our people. And it's like you had so many successful, rich Black people, and it was burned down. But I met this guy that owned a grocery store called Oasis.
A.J. Johnson.
Yes. Yeah. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put my food in your grocery store and I'm going to support you. We support all these other
rich and famous Black folk. Got to stop saying shit like this.
Trying to get that negative mindset out of our culture because they still going back to, oh man, slavery, they did us this. And I'm like, you still harping on that, man. I never harped on that because I can't change the past, but I can change the future.
And after people responded negatively to that statement, this was the clarification.
I love my people. When you talk about slavery, our ancestors been through so much and we're not going to forget it. We can't change the past, but we can change the future.
But family, that correction still reflects a deep misunderstanding of what's wrong with the initial statement. Slavery does not matter simply because it's our history. Discussing slavery matters because it fundamentally structured American institutions and the racial distribution of property, labor, wealth, and power in ways that continued long after slavery itself was abolished. And P gives us the perfect example to explain what that looked like. The racial wealth gap. You cannot tell Black people to stop harping on slavery and then in the very next breath say we need to bridge the racial wealth gap. Where do you think that gap comes from, Master P? Slavery established a racial economic order where Black people were property while white Americans accumulated wealth from our labor. And emancipation ended chattel slavery, but it did not dismantle that racial economic order that was established. Black people were excluded from land and capital after emancipation. Black codes and Jim Crow restricted economic opportunity. Racial terrorism was used to seize and destroy Black property. And federal housing policy and redlining helped subsidize white home ownership while locking Black families out of one of the largest wealth building opportunities that Americans have. And there's actually a concept that helps explain those disadvantages and what happens over generations. Disaccumulation. Because Black wealth inequality isn't just about what we are prevented from accumulating. It's about wealth and economic opportunity being repeatedly taken from, destroyed, devalued, and prevented from compounding, while advantages on the other side of the racial hierarchy are allowed to accumulate across generations. So when Master P says we can't change the past, but we can bridge the wealth gap is not separate from the past. It is one of the clearest examples of how that past became institutionalized and currently impacts the present. And if you want to close that gap, teaching Black people about ownership and financial literacy, of course, is important, but that's only one aspect of it. The other is recognizing the structural and institutional remnants of chattel slavery and developing strategies, institutional strategies, structural strategies against it.
Master P says the reason that many Black Americans are not successful is because we focus on slavery in the past too much.
Trying to get that negative mindset out of our culture because they still going back to, oh man, slavery, they did us this. And I'm like, you still harping on that, man. I never harped on that because I can't change.
Another thing, y'all, when somebody tells you to forget your past, they're really telling you to forget about who you are. The past is what shapes us into the people we are today. And, no other group, and I understand why we're being told this, because white people know what they have done to us was so horrific. They just want everything to be shut down completely and never spoken about. You can see it. Look how Donald Trump came into office. Oh, DEI. And we need to get this stuff out of the schools because how the white kids going to feel? Well, the white kids aren't the only ones in America going to school. Okay, you only making a point if the whole country is white and the white kids were going to school. White kids are not the only children in this country that got to go to school. And to me, it is wrong for y'all to have this mindset that history should be all about learning about white people and nobody else. Then who would want to send their kid to school? Nobody. So you can't say that we can't be successful as long as we're talking about slavery and talking about the past. I reject that. There's a lot of people that are writers and they are successful and they're doing great in business. I don't think you have to eliminate your past in order to do well in business. I think that's really bogus. And my question is, who did you get this from? It sounds like Grandmaster P got this from white handlers. This does not sound like something that would come from people in our community. You ain't successful if you're still talking about the past. That ain't true. That's a bold-faced lie. Okay. All right, let's go on.
Change the past, but I can change the future. You got to get used to us being successful. And I think a lot of us, we block our own blessings because we don't think that we could do it because we're looking at a color. Our people can't work together. Think about when I go down Rodale Drive and see all these stores. They're owned by all the same kind of looking people. None of them fighting. None of them caring about what each other have or got. And I love that. I want to see that for our culture and our people.
Thank you, Master P. Somebody needed to say it in the culture. And you're hearing it from a black man who has experienced what you have, who knows what it's like to be black in America, but is extremely successful. Those who focus on all the wrong that was done in the past and those who don't is the difference between those who succeed and those who don't. And did you know that what he's describing about black people owning more businesses, owning more companies and working together, we already accomplished that. And we did it at a time when segregation was legal and Jim Crow laws were in place shortly after slavery. When slavery was ended by the Republican Party and Reconstruction was passed, black people went on to build successful economies and cities known as Black Wall Streets. And we established these successful economies all around America, where blacks owned the land and we owned every business and house on the land. We were the lawyers, the doctors. We owned movie theaters and bus lines and grocery stores and libraries and schools. We owned everything. We were completely self-reliant and dependent without any outside government assistance. We accomplished this and did this in the midst of Jim Crow, in the midst of segregation and real oppression. This was also accomplished in a time when black Americans identified as Republican. We were all about doing for self, being self-sufficient and ownership. We weren't focused on what the government or somebody else can do for us, and we weren't focused on the oppression we were dealing with. None of that stopped us. But do you know what happened? White mobs aligned with the Democratic Party came and destroyed these successful black economies. And they were aided by law enforcement and government officials who were aligned with the Democratic Jim Crow South. And the Democrats, by the way, are the ones who passed the Jim Crow laws. So Democrats destroyed the black wealth. They destroyed the black self-sufficiency, only for a couple of years later for them to offer us welfare and government assistance. Why? To make us reliant and dependent on the Democratic Party, which would in return guarantee our loyalty and long-term voting for generations. And this is why the Democratic Party is always reminding the public of racism, of Jim Crow, of slavery, of black people being oppressed and being victims. The very mindsets that Master P is saying is holding black people back from being successful today. And the reason the Democratic Party does this is because they need to keep us in that state, to keep us reliant, keep us defeated, to continue to guarantee guarantee our vote, keeping them in power. Black people were successful. We were some of the most successful people in America at the time when we were aligned with the Republican Party. But ever since 1964, when we left the Republican Party and followed Martin Luther King into the Democratic Party, ever since then, the Black community has been on a decline. We have gotten worse and worse. We have not gotten better. And this was not an accident. This was all planned out to keep us dependent and to keep us loyal. Hence, the famous words from Lyndon B. Johnson, I'll have these N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years. We are already 60 years into his plan. I talk about this in so much more depth and many other things in my best-selling book, How the Democrats Won the Blacks, From Physical to Mental Slavery. This book gives the true origins of both political parties and reveals the real events that took place that caused Black Americans to realign from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party, all backed up by historical documentation and government reports. If you want the true history not taught to you in school, my book is available now for order. You can find the link in my bio or just comment the word book and I'll send the link right to your DM.
Honey, we were enslaved for 246 years. 246 years. And when we mention it, when we connected to the wealth gap, when we connected to the education gap, to the prison pipeline, to the fact that Black people are 13% of the population, but make up 40% of the prison population, y'all call it harping? Make it make sense. Please, somebody in the comment section, make this shit make sense. Make it make sense. That man who got his start from generational wealth is telling people with no generational wealth to stop talking about why they don't have it. When enslaved people were freed, the enslavers got reparations. They got paid for every lost property. Did y'all know that? Did y'all know the enslavers got reparations? Did y'all know that? The people that enslaved us, they got money. They got reparations, y'all. Did y'all know that? They got paid for every lost property. And the property was us, which was human beings, our ancestors. They got compensated for losing the right to own us. And we got nothing. Nothing. 40 acres and a mule turned into sharecropping. Sharecropping turned into Jim Crow. Jim Crow turned into a mass incarceration. And Master P is on a goddamn podcast talking about stop harping, like the chain of evidence just stopped when Civil Rights Act passed. Like redlining didn't happen in the 70s. Like the CIA didn't flood our neighborhoods with crack in the damn 80s. Like the prison boom of the 90s. Okay? When Master P was getting rich off music about that very violence, didn't destroy a generation. Come on now. He was right there getting paid while the system was locking us up. And now he got the nerve to act like the system don't exist.
Master P, I got a lot of respect for you, brother. You contributed a lot to hip hop in the South. But brother, I don't think I like too much of what you just said. I'm going to explain why. First off, this is what you said. You said Black Americans should stop focusing on slavery and start building the future. You said we should stop focusing on the past. No sweat, my brother. See, Mr. Percy Miller, the problem is whenever Black people try to evolve past slavery, America has a tendency to remind us that we're still slaves. It's already hard enough that we have a disadvantage. A great majority of us try our best to make a good living in this place. America has dealt us a horrible hand. Just think about the things you had to do to get where you got and the disadvantages that came with it. But your white counterparts didn't have to go as hard as you did. But that's besides the point. Master P, have you been paying attention to the news lately? Hangings all throughout the South, North Carolina, Mississippi, and even up in the Midwest. I heard about one up there in Michigan. You say leave slavery in the past, but all that seems to clearly mean to me is that you want us to forget about the current oppression that happens to us today. Black people today are not talking about chattel slavery as much as they're talking about police brutality or the unjust judicial system. or the wealth gaps, or any racist policy in this system that has caused a disadvantage for black people. You contribute a lot to this society, brother, but you're going to have to learn the truth about what's really going on. I'm just trying to help you.
I swear, every time these famous people open their mouth, they show us two things. One, a lot of them are very lacking in intelligence. Like, you can literally tell a lot of these famous people are not smart. And two, they always have something to say that's some colonizer bullshit. Now, we've got people, we're finding black women and men being strange fruited left and right. We've got Nolan Wells situation. We got Carmelo Anthony situation. And all these rich, famous black people are mute mouth and ain't saying a damn word about none of this stuff that's going on. They ain't talking about the fact that people's food is being poisoned because they have chefs and access. They're not talking about the fact that Gary, Indiana has no power. But you'll get on these podcasts and talk about how we need to stop talking about slavery because get out of the negative mindset. Talking about slavery is not a negative mindset. If anything, it's a mindset of us understanding and knowing what our people went through and knowing we're never going back there. It's actually empowering to know our people fought hard for us to have things and we have to continue that fight. Not talking about is doing what white people want to do and sweep it under the rug like it didn't happen. But the reality is we are still suffering the effects of slavery today. And when y'all want to get in the comments talking about, well, I didn't own slaves and I didn't benefit, you did benefit. You benefited because when enslaved people were freed, everyone who owned slaves, all these white enslavers, they got paid reparations for every single loss of property, which was the loss of the enslaved people. So you got paid per head, like we were still a material item. Number two, because of that, because of then laws and rules and redlining and keeping black people from being able to buy homes, keeping black people from being able to be in banking, all of the things that y'all did to try to keep black people from having the same opportunities are why we continue to stay behind. All started with slavery. And to this day, we still don't have the same rights. Y'all can think that we do, but we've seen it play out in the justice system. We've seen it played out in corporate America. We see it played out daily where black people still don't have the same access and the same privileges as white people. So to say, let's stop talking about it and acting like we're all equal and we're not is tone deaf as fuck and actually continues to show how y'all need to just shut up. If you're not going to say anything that is positive for our people, then just be quiet because you clearly don't read books. You don't know history and you're just someone who got lucky and made it because you had a modicum of talent and a lot of will. But at the end of the day, if you didn't have that and weren't ready to be able to step and fetch it for white entertainment, you would not be where you were today. Just be quiet.
Now, I'm sorry. I do agree with this sister at the end. I agree with everything she said. And the bottom line is, I don't want no damn celebrities speaking for us. I don't want them speaking for us. Because for him to say that, you're out of touch. And it tells me that you're concerned about making someone else comfortable. And I'm not concerned about that at all. And the future, thank goodness, is not in the hands of celebrities. The future is not in the hands of Tatum. The future is not in the hands of people that don't have our best interests at heart. And, he was there with his sneaker and he should have just sat there and promoted his product. But veering off into this topic of, oh, we need to forget. How come nobody ever tells white people to forget parts of their history? How come this is never spoken to them, but it's spoken to us all the time? That's where, how come y'all don't tell Latinos to forget parts of their history or Asian people? That's why I reject this forget the past, because it's only directed to us. And I know the reason why. And at the end of the day, I don't give a shit about what another person feels if we are speaking the facts and truth about the things that happened to us in the past and even to this present day. The hell with you. I don't give a damn about your understanding. But I do know one thing: our people are owed. You owe us a debt, and we're not going to shut up about it until that debt is paid. You're going to pay one way or another. You can pay on your own, or you can wait for the Most High to shake your ass down. And if he does come and shake you down, you ain't going to be left with nothing, not even the lint in your pocket. He going to take everything. You will end up with nothing. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. And Inventortainment, thank you so much for the 100 jewels. Sunday, thank you for your support. Thank you again for the 30 jewels. Flower, thank you. And thank you again for the 100 jewels. Marshmallow High, yes. Thank you so much for your support for my channel. Deeply appreciated. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. I have my final live coming up at 3:45. And that is going to be this thing they're doing with plastic waste and turning it into edible food. So we will talk about that then. Everyone have a wonderful afternoon. Don't forget to pick up your hair products, and I'll see you on my next live. Shalom, family.